Cool. So we're just going to give it a couple of minutes before the rest of the group joins. I'm not expecting too many people today, maybe 100 people, assuming everyone's busy due to Christmas. But I thought it'd be an interesting one to cover the mindset side of trading as per all of your requests via Instagram. We've also got some awesome giveaway at the end that we'll be going through as a Merry Christmas from Adrian. So that's very nice of him. And yeah, we'll pretty much get it started. Is there any questions that anyone's got for myself? This webinar will be mainly of Adrian. I'm just going to be helping a lot with the tech side and some of the questions. Someone's already asked a question. Number one psychological factor that limits traders and how to overcome it. I think what we'll do is we'll leave that question there for now. And if Adrian doesn't answer that in the webinar, we'll come back to that one and make sure that we do answer it. So if you've got any questions, just put them into the Q&A. And then we'll do a Q&A just at the end and answer all of those questions for everyone. Anyone got any questions for me before we start that they want to just clear up and ask before I hand over to Adrian? Don't be shy. When will be the next webinar? Okay, cool. So the next webinar probably is not going to be until probably January the 10th. So January the 10th will be the next webinar. Me and the traders, me and my partner, we're going away to Dubai next week for Christmas, and then we come back, and then me and the traders are going away to an awesome villa for a little while into January, and so it'll be the 10th. So that answers that with Michael. So we'll be on the 10th, and I'll be launching something pretty awesome on the 10th. Lewis, part of what you're asking about the crypto side of things will be launched on the 10th as well. So hold tight onto that one as well. I think I've pretty much answered all the questions so far. Has anyone else got any questions that they'd like to post into the Q&A? The question that you've got isn't trading related. Go ahead, Alexander. See, we've got a minute before we're going to start the webinar on mindset. What's my plan for 2018? Global domination. Carry on doing really well. Evening, David. So again, we're just going to do one more minute of Q&As with myself, and then I'll hand over to Adrian. So if you've got any questions, just put them into the Q&A tab, and I'll answer them. Here you go. Your opinion on Bitcoin price by the end of the year, and which crypto will dominate next year? Oh, very good, Martin. I know you're so clued up on your cryptos that you absolutely love them. I'm not going to give that away. I'm going to wait until January the 10th to talk about cryptos. But my focus is Ripple, Dash, and Ethereum. I'll talk more about them, though, on January the 10th. Okay, Ronaldo, Fund Manager Program, you said that it will be international. Can you please tell me how it will work? Ronaldo, if you jump onto our website, go onto our website, click the little chat box, and you can have a word with Elliot. Elliot sat on there throughout this webinar answering questions for us. Are the markets generally slow around this time of year? 100%, Lewis. All the ballers are on holiday over Christmas, so the markets move slower. Martin, I'm going to tag you in a picture on Instagram later. You'll find it funny. Look forward to it. Okay, cool. It's 7 o'clock. We've got about 40 people in here, which let's get this going in regards to Adrian. So, loved the party from Anthony Brannan. Loved it too. Evening, Shamal. I think altcoins are taking over 2018. I agree, Seema. I mean to say trading related. I struggle with understanding volume on the MetaTrader 4 relation to trade size. Okay, that's definitely not on this agenda. Evening, guys. Evening, Alice. Yeah. Hi, Sam and Adrian. Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Right, let's get going on to mindset. I'll hand over to Adrian now. I hope you guys enjoy the webinar.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. This is all new to me, so bear with it. I get questions about the mindset all the time, obviously, and what people should be looking at. So I've made some points here that I just want to go through to see whether or not they resonate with you as traders currently, depending on your level of experience. So the guys that come across on our course tend to focus on the money. They want to make money. They want to make the millions. Their focus is on the money. And I keep telling them it's not a get rich quick scheme. I tell them it's got to be focusing on the technique, because when you focus on the technique and you nail the technique, you can replicate it. Don't focus on the money, because that's where you get lost. And everybody wants to run the marathon when it comes to trading. They want the money. But you're not born running in this world. You have to learn to walk first. Then you fall over. Then you get up. Then you're encouraged to step forward and walk. And eventually you start to walk. You learn how to walk. Once you've learned, you don't fall over again. You can carry on walking and start running and hopping, skipping, jumping. So when you put it to the technique, learn the technique, nail the technique, and then replicate it. The only thing you can be sure of is the technique and the rules that you follow. Nobody likes to lose money because it triggers the amygdala. This is part of your fight or flight scenario, and it's painful. The trouble with that fight or flight scenario is the amygdala overrules your conscious thinking, and then you start making silly mistakes and you wonder why. It's your amygdala that's being triggered. You need to calm it down. So also the money that you have in your account should have no emotional content to it. Some people borrow money because this is a last ditch attempt for people to make money, to get out of their current job, to make the life changes, the life choices they want. I understand that, but you can't have any emotional content to the money, because if you do, the pressure is that you have to perform in order to make the money up to pay these people. And that puts you under pressure. And the second part that you need to focus on is you need a set of rules that you follow every time that you get into a trade. You have to be consistent. The only thing you can rely on is you. So you have to follow a set of rules to each trade. You know, is the support and resistance line there? Is the trend in the right way? The right time frame? Have you taken into account news and things like that? When the trade comes in and wins, great, fantastic. But if you lose, you can actually go back over your rules to see whether or not you followed them. If it was the market, if you followed them perfectly, that's okay. So it's out of your control. It's the market doing what the market is doing. So that allows you to trade with your head and not your heart. You're thinking constructively. And the next part you should do is to keep a trading diary. Every trade you enter, the details you put in that, you can go back and review. And when you review them, you can come to terms with patterns. You can see patterns, things that you do on a regular basis. Some people don't like trading in the morning. They make all the mistakes in the morning, yet in the afternoon, they're successful, or vice versa. But when you keep a trading diary, you can actually go back and make sure that you're consistently following all of your rules. When you do that, it allows you to learn from each trade that you've taken. And that's how you gain experience. The other point I want to make is you have to focus on the present. A lot of people focus on the past because they may have just lost a trade. Each trade is unique. The last trade that you had, whether you won or you lost, will not have any reflection on what you take in the current trade or the next trade in the future. So focus on the present, not the past or not the future. And then the other problem we have is people don't take responsibility for their trading. They blame others when it goes against them. Somebody told them to get into the trade. It was the news coming out. This is a blaming game. It's an excuse so that you don't blame yourself. It's a way of getting out of the situation. Treat trading as a business, because when you do that, every trade that you take is now meaningful. If you had to live off the money you make from trading, you would make sure that you were consistent, which means going back to the technique, keeping a diary and following all of that through. When you grow a business, you nurture it, you nature it, you improve it. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Okay, everybody, as I said at the beginning, wants to get rich by the end of the week. They want the lottery on Saturday night, midweek. They don't think about 1 year, 3 year, 5 years from now. You're all probably young people, 20s, maybe 30s. You're not in your 50s and 60s. You haven't had a full life. 87% of the population don't like working 9 to 5. I get that. I understand that. I wish I'd have learned to trade when I was Sam's age. So take the time to learn to trade 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, build up the account fund, and then you don't have to trade so hard, so rigorously, and you can make a good living. Again, remain emotionally neutral. I'll share with you a technique later on that will help you do that. But remain emotionally neutral with no anger. And remember, the money that you fund the account has to have no emotional content to it. Otherwise, again, there's pressure there to you to succeed. If you get emotional, if you get angry and frustrated, you trigger that amygdala again, and that will override your conscious thinking. So you can't make rational, analytical decisions. You make stupid mistakes. Okay? So those are the basic 7 aspects that tend to come up on every training session at some level or other. So what are the other problems? Well, emotions, obviously being stopped out. The fear of losing is obviously not comfortable for people. It's the fear of the unknown, and fear again will trigger this amygdala. This is part of your brain that's been hardwired in for 150 million years. It's part of the mammalian brain, and it's been looking after you, taking care of you for 150 million years. Well, not you personally, but mankind, and it's done a very good job. It's also not trusting your trading method. Again, this is where you go back and you learn to trade the technique, the process that you use for trading. It's also about not meeting other people's expectations, because we all like to be winners in this world, and we don't like, the term loser is painful to a lot of people. We don't like to be considered losers. So we try to perform to meet other people's expectations. And if we fail, we lose, we're not good enough. We're trying to live up to other people's expectations. We need approval. So don't treat trading as a business and do it for yourself. And then the other aspect I've come up with that people trouble with is money management. They seem to have a problem with the wrong lot size. This happens when they get a losing trade. They start to mix up their lot sizes. And again, a lot of it's to do with greed. They want to up the lot size to make 2% and 5%. So they make more money more quickly. The trouble is they lose, they make even more losses, and they spiral down on their emotions. It's not taking responsibility. Their focus is on the money. You should be protecting the account at all costs, and that's why we only risk 1%. A lot of people, especially novice traders, put their stop loss too tight. They get whipped out of a trade, and then the trade goes in their direction, and then they follow it, and then they beat themselves up because they see themselves would have been in profit, but they're not. Again, that's going back to practicing their technique. A lot of novice traders get out of trades too early as well. As soon as it goes into profit, they cut the profit and take it. And that relieves the anxiety of being in a trade. Try putting a trade on, put your stop loss on, and you take profit and walk away, and then come back to it later. It's also about sabotage. The trouble is with getting out of too early, at the time, it seems like you're winning, you're making profits, but it only takes one bad trade to go against you, and that will wipe out all the profits. And the other thing is, people have limiting beliefs about themselves based on their childhood and their life up to this present date, that they don't deserve, that they're not good enough, that life's difficult, it's too hard. Well, those are negatives, and you have to deal with them. You have to come to terms with them. Go back to basics. Master your strategy, get comfortable, learn to walk, and then replicate that on a daily basis. So those are the main points that I wanted to go through. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Let's have a look.
A quick slurp.
Lewis said, I did a training 2 weeks ago with Adrian, and has helped my trading so much. If you can apply what he teaches, it's priceless.
Thank you.
No one has any questions so far. If you've got any question, guys, just chuck them into the Q&A so we can go over them. Do you want to answer that one from Harry? Number one psychological factor that limits traders and how to overcome it.
Well, that's a difficult question. I understand why you ask it. It depends on your level of trading experience. If you're a novice, any one of those points that I've read out would be it. Is there anything specifically that bothers you about your trading?
That's probably more to the point, Harry. you can.
Yeah.
The junior trader program looks awesome.
Absolutely.
So Harry's come back and goes, sometimes people have a strategy that just plain doesn't work. How do you know if when you're limited by the strategy or if it's your psychology that's holding you back? Oh, I could answer that.
You can answer that. I would say go on to a demo account.
Yeah, in my opinion, to answer that one, how do you know when it's your strategy or not? Well, if the person is using the strategy and they can show verified trading results, then you know the system works. If they can't show you that, then I wouldn't be using a system that doesn't have a track verified record. That's more to the point. So if that whatever strategy you're using, if it's not backed by verified trading stats, then I wouldn't be using it. So I wouldn't say that's psychology. That's just looking for the right strategy.
And even if everybody had the same strategy, you find that they will all use it slightly differently. There are no two traders exactly the same. They're similar, but everybody finds their own niche, even with a general trading method.
Here you go. That's a good question. In a small trading account, like £1,000 equity, I always get profit. Roughly 8 out of 10 trades are winners. But when I increase my account size, I lose trades. So when he trades a larger account, he loses. So it's a mental block.
So so in that respect, I would say it's about you're not feeling comfortable with large amounts of money. It's easy to trade 1,000. Go onto a demo account and put on 10,000, 100,000. See how you feel. What is it that you're feeling? Are you frightened? Are you fearful? Are you anxious? What is it? Are you going to lose more than you would do on a normal 1,000 equity?
Personally, to answer that one, and my 2 cents on that one, I would say trade a large account with small lot size value. There's a live account, but trade small amount of money. And as you get more confident, build it up so that you're comfortable with it. It may just be the fact that you're trying to use the same percentage risk based on the account size that you was using on the £1,000, and you're panicking because that loss actually means something to you on the larger account, whereas on 1,000 it doesn't mean anything to you, which makes a big difference. So that's very important. When if you're losing just on a large account but you're not on the small, then go to the large account, use the same lot size you're using on the small account, and then increment it very slowly until you get comfortable with it. Next question: is it preferable to meditate or practice something? Meditate or practice something similar in any way before every trading session, and if so, what do you suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to share this. I was waiting for this to come up. It's a technique that I use on part of the course. It's called Silence the Mind. There's 101 ways to meditate. Okay, and they'll all say theirs is the best way. Whether it's Tai Chi, whether it's transcendental meditation, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's guided meditation. There's hundreds of the ways. I don't like the term meditation because it conjures up many different aspects in a person. You've got to sit, you've got to hum, you don't have to do any of that. Certainly not putting your ankles up round you in the lotus position. I'd need a hip operation to do that. All you have to do is sit down and be quiet. I'll take you through this. I call it silence the mind. When you do this, it will stop you thinking in a matter of seconds. You won't have a single thought. What that does is it resets the amygdala. This is part of your fight or flight to get out of the situation, and it will calm your mind. Resets the amygdala. You will be calm and relaxed. You reduce stress. You're able to power nap through this. You can actually re-energize your body. You become more perceptive and insightful while you do this. You can problem solve as a result of this. This is where people who create inventions, new inventions, they go into this sort of frame of mind. So if you will, I'll take you through this. There are 7 steps. Okay, simple steps, quite simple. I like things simple. There's no point making it complicated. And you can do this anywhere. You literally can, as long as you're not driving. Don't do it then, or any dangerous machinery. Okay, so first of all, turn your phone off. You don't need to be disturbed by a phone. Make sure you've been to the toilet. Last thing you need to do is halfway through realize you need the loo. Find a quiet place if you're going to practice this at home. Make sure there's no pets and there's no other children around that are going to come in and disturb you. Do it in the spare room, do it in your bedroom. Don't lay down on the bed, for crying out loud, because you will fall asleep. And then you need to say tell yourself how long you're going to do this for. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 10 minutes. You can do it for an hour if you really want to. It's up to you. The longer you spend doing it, the better are the results. So tell yourself, I do it for 10 minutes. Okay. 10 minutes. Tell yourself 10 minutes, because when you go into this frame of mind, this altered state of consciousness, your conscious mind will lose track of time, but your subconscious won't. It's on point all the time, and it will make you aware when 10 minutes are up, which is what you want. When you like doing this, get into a regular pattern of doing it every day. It only takes 10 minutes. But the thing is with that, you start to program the subconscious, because it likes patterns, it likes familiarity, it likes regularity. And when you do it, the second you get set up for it, you'll find that you go deeper and faster each and every time that you do this. So what do we do? Well, we need to breathe. That's obviously the first thing. Close your eyes, sit comfortably on a chair with your hands on your thighs, feet flat on the floor. Don't cross your ankles, because you'll find that you'll end up with pins and needles. Just put your feet flat on the floor, hands on your thighs, close your eyes, sitting upright, and breathe in and out through your nose. Take the same amount of time breathing in as you breathe out. And breathe slowly, breathe deeply. Allow your stomach to rise and fall as you breathe in and out. Now, we need to give the mind something to do, because in all meditation, it's to do with the mind, how we quieten it. So we're going to give it a job. So what I want you to do when you're breathing in is imagine you're breathing up through the floor, through your legs, your body, up to the top of your head on the in-breath. And as you breathe out, you're breathing back down through the body. Same amount of time breathing in as you breathe out. Nice and slow and rhythmically. And now, to get rid of the left side of your brain, this rational, analytical side, we're going to give it a job. So I want you to use your internal mind's eye with your eyes closed. I want you to follow the breath up through your body and then back down through your body. And when you do that, you stop the mind chattering. You stop this internal dialogue, this internal voice. And then you just keep doing that for 10 minutes. When you do that, you won't think of a single thing. If your mind wanders and you start to hear a noise or start thinking about something, bring it back to the breath and bring it back to the internal mind's eye and follow it. And it is as simple as that. But it's very deep, it's very profound. The more you do it, the faster and deeper you'll go. And you will just chill out. You'll become like a monk. You really will. So I hope that answers your question. It's as simple as that.
Right. Let's have a look at some of the questions on the Q&A. Are there any mental exercises you could do before trading that will help? Is that pretty much that one?
Well, that's that one. That will silence the mind. That will just get rid of all negative thinking.
Okay, so we answered Michael's. Tom, when frustrations do come up from losses, what technique method would you recommend to deal with the loss as to not repeat the mistake again?
You've got to stay focused, obviously. You've got to just neutralize your thoughts and think of the current trade and not dwell on the past. Okay? Frustrations come up. Deep breathing. Just spend a couple of minutes doing some deep breathing and follow that process I've just gone through. And then you'll find that you'll just chill out. And maybe I'll go through talk through in a little while some things about affirmations that will help change that internal dialogue, that internal thinking process.
To add to that as well, if you're going through like from losses, frustration, then literally jot down, exactly what you've done and why you've done it, and see if there's any informalities pretty much with your wins. And if you are noticing that, then you're noticing a pattern for why you're losing, and then just eradicate that reason. That's pretty much what I used to do. Lewis, what changes can we make to our mindset to help be better traders? Well, we've kind of gone over that one, I would say.
Well, there's another one we can do. There's a thing called affirmations. We've heard of affirmation, to affirm. That's when you repeat a positive statement over and over again. Every day in every way, I'm getting more and more confident as a trader. We tend to focus on the negative. Okay, this is the internal dialogue. What we focus on, we start to attract in life. Okay, and we tend to focus on the negative. We wonder why we get the negative happening in our life. So it depends on the internal dialogue that we have in our head produces the external experience. So to change the dialogue in the head will change the external experience. So an affirmation is something that you repeat over and over again. The trouble with that is it's a challenge to your subconscious, because every word, every thought, every feeling, every belief has to be referred back to the subconscious in the memory banks to make sense of what you're thinking about. And if it's all negative, you know, why do I get frustrated when I lose a trade? You know, why is it that I'll get anxious when I lose a trade? Things like you're focusing on the negative. And a positive affirmation, you have to repeat hundreds of times a day in order for it to embed itself in the subconscious over weeks, over months before you see some result. With an affirmation, this is a question that focuses on the positive. So if you ask yourself, why is it, or why am I so comfortable trading right now? There's no negative there, it's positive. And why is it I feel so safe and secure following my trading rules? Why is it I feel so comfortable applying my strategy just at the right time to gain maximum profit? When you start using why is it or why am I, you start to change your internal dialogue. And then you'll find that your external experience changes as a result of that. Remember, we don't get what we want in life. Our wants are our conscious thinking. We get what we believe, which is our subconscious. And then we become what we believe. So change your internal dialogue by asking yourself positive questions. Why is it that I am so comfortable? Or why am I so comfortable? Why am I so safe trading? Why do I find it so easy to apply my trading strategy? Why is it I make consistent, successful trades? All of that is positive. There is no negative in that. And you'll then find your internal dialogue changes. The external experience will then change. Hope that answers the question. Okay, where are we now? Adrian, we went through keywords. How often should we use the keyword to help change, adjust our subconscious? Every time you remember is the answer to that, Alice. Each and every time. If you have a specific problem, then start to use it to deal with that problem until you start noticing changes. You can't use it enough in my book.
Michael, how do you know which course is best for you, the Junior Trader Program or the Wealth Training Program? So, well, the difference is, Michael, is that the Wealth Program is a one-to-one training with our senior trader. And the Junior Trader Program is a classroom environment, which then leads on to potential investment via our kind of intake for a job. So the Wealth Program is just straight up training. The Junior Trader Program is to go for kind of employment. So it depends if you're after education or future work and investment with Sam Co Trading. If you have a lot of winning trades, how do you stop being overconfident and making mistakes? Well, that's in my mind, I don't see why you would get overconfident, because how you should see it is the more winners that you have, the more probability that the next one's going to be a loser. You know, so if you're using probability from a probability trading point of view, the more wins I have, the more cautious I would be going into the next trade.
Or you can actually use an affirmation for that. Why is it I feel so comfortable and confident with consistent winning trades? You know, you can start using your internal dialogue to start changing any perception that you have of anxiety coming up. So I certainly suggest you do that.
Cool. Mike has said, do you think it's a good idea to think in points instead of money? No, because points is, you've got the wrong terminology. Points and money, we don't think about either of them. You can work in points on the DAX and make 1,000 points and it's worth absolutely, you know, diddly. Or you can make 10 pips on, say, I don't know, US dollar yen, and it all depends down to your risk. So you should always work in percentage terms, not in lot sizes, not in pips, not in points. It should always be percentage gain and percentage loss. Shope, do you have weekly or daily mindset sessions for your traders? Would you advise having a daily meditation routine to stay in the zone for trading? We started to introduce for our invested traders mindset sessions, so that they come in every now and then, have a sit down with Adrian and discuss any you know, mindset issues that they may have over the last kind of month that they've been trading, and then we go through and correct them. Meditation is probably down to the traders on an individual level, but I believe that a lot of traders do. Me personally, and I would say Elliot as well, we don't really meditate ourselves. We just know that when we start trading, that's it. Forget about everything else. Time to focus on trading. And you kind of got to not be focused about winning or losing, just making sure that your execution is the same over and over and over again.
Yeah, but they can still use the silence the mind as a form of meditation to just to chill your mind and just get yourself in a calm frame of mind.
Yeah, perfect. Let's have a quick look on here. What's the best way to anticipate margin calls? Well, you shouldn't be trading that much amount of money if you get margin called. You should be reducing your lot size and trading a lot lower risk. If you're getting margin called, you're using way above the recommended risk, in my opinion. So you ask yourself those questions, even though they may not be necessarily totally true.
Correct. Because what you focus on expands. If your internal dialogue is positive and you're focusing on the positive, you start to change the internal dialogue and you're not thinking about the negative. And the more you do that, the more you start to see experiences in the real world in your performance. So yeah, even though they're negative in your experience, by actually using positive affirmations, they will start to change your external experience.
Brilliant. And also in reference to that question, word question, how do you reset your keyword?
Oh, your keyword. Okay. You just say you want to use a new word. It's as simple as that. Your subconscious knows what you're thinking. So if you want to change it, just change it and start using it.
From Evelyn Gomez, how do you deal with emotions when a trade's going accordingly to plan and starts to retrace? Well, to be fair, every trade that I put on, I have no emotional attachment to whatsoever. So that's how you've got to put it. You've got to accept that you've already lost when you've put the trade on. If you've accepted that you've lost before you even place the trade, if you win, it's a pleasant surprise. Other than that, I don't get emotional about winning or losing. It's absolutely key that you keep emotions separate to trading. So every trade I put on, if I risk £1,000 a trade, then I go, okay, I've lost £1,000. If I lose £1,000, I've already accepted that. If I win, it's a bonus. And that's how you should see it, because if you've written it off, then your mindset is completely neutral to the outcome. And I think that's probably the best way to perform in the market.
I would also say that it's perhaps inexperience. You need to start to practice more and more, because you come to terms with a lot of traders do that anyway. And once you become used to it, it's something that you expect, and it's not a shock to your system. So more practice is what I would say for that.
So you have no emotional while taking profits too? No, none at all. I mean, obviously it's nice to make money, but I have no major emotion to it at all. I'm on a down month this month. I'm actually down about 1% on the month. Just been busy. Doesn't faze me. That's just how it is. Question might not be relevant for now, but do you know of any techniques to accelerate learning? Anything that allows knowledge to be more accessible whilst you're trading? It's an interesting one.
It depends on the person. I mean, some people pick up information really quickly and some people struggle. They have to read and go over the same thing umpteen times before they take it on board. It really is your perception, but keep an open mind, keep it simple. There is no, for me, I have not found a way to really accelerate learning. To be honest, there are techniques out there. There's Photoshop, photo reading and things like that out there by Shield. But no, it's just repetition and repetition and repetition is what I find works best.
Michael, how do you deal with negative relatives or friends when you tell them, well, you ought to be a full-time trader? You do this, you go this, yeah. That's what you give them the finger. I've had that. I've had all that. I've had that throughout my whole time about people saying that. In fact, I got rid of the entire friend circle.
The reason is they're trying to look after you based on their programming and what their experiences are in the world. The idea is you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, you get a good education, then you get a good job, you get a good wage coming in, and that wage packet comes in every single month. You've got regular money coming in. The thing with Trading is you can win and lose, and they want safety and security for you. So it's their mindset as against yours. If you really want to do it, then you have to explain to them it takes time, but when you do, you'll make more money than them. But it's different. Everybody wants to be traders these days. You've got to learn to do it. So don't worry about what they say. If you feel inside it's what you want to do, then follow your dream, and don't be put off by other people.
100% agree. David, how many concurrent trades would you recommend limiting yourself to, both correlated and non-correlated pairs? Correlated to, when I mean correlated, I mean literally like euro, dollar, pound, dollar. I would literally not, I would probably not even trade both of them. I'll just choose one. So correlated is probably 1, and non-correlated between kind of 3 and 8 as a max. I want to make sure that I can keep tabs on all of them, so not too many. Martin, how do you differentiate between cutting your losses and letting your winners run? That's an interesting one, because on FX, I literally just put in a 2-to-1, whatever I've risked, 2-to-1. I'll let them usually run. If in the morning they haven't hit target, but they're still up, I'll just take profit. FX, I'm a short-term trader. I'm not a long-term trader on FX. I'd rather buy an equity long-term. You had the same when coming to pro poker player. Got that. Yeah, fair enough. Enjoyed that. They soon eat their words when you succeed. Well, that's exactly it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it all comes down to how much time you want to put into it. If you're going to do this half-heartedly, and you just got to realize that if you are going to do it half-heartedly, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to spend time on education. You have to spend a large amount of hours putting the effort in, and so on and so forth. It's important. We've got another couple of questions popped up quick. How can I mention a healthy mind and have clear thinking?
I think it's how I can maintain a healthy mind and have clear thinking. Drink water, go to bed early, eat healthy food, don't have heavy food, don't have processed food, eat as naturally as you can, and drink plenty of water. Water flushes your system and flushes all the toxins out. With toxins, you end up with headaches and nausea and tiredness. So healthy fruit, healthy meals, keep away from processed foods.
David, do you recommend placing your trade with a fixed reward to risk, walking away, or actively managing the trade when the positive to avoid affecting your trailing stop loss, therefore improving drawdown? I'll never trail a stock because it's got whipsaw in behavior. What I'll do is I'll put a fixed return on, and if it hasn't hit it by a certain time, I say like, this trade is on the 5 minute. If it hasn't hit my target within 2 hours, I will take the profit that is on the table at the time, and that is what I would look to do. Steve, can you recommend any books on neuroeconomics which may reinforce some of the psychology needed? Interesting. Any books that you would advise on the mindset?
No, there's so many out there.
You must have a favorite.
Trading in the Zone.
Was that one of your favorites? Like, what would be your favorite?
Yeah. Once I read them, I don't tend to read them again because they give you information, but they have no techniques in them. That's the problem with the books. They give you lots of information, but no techniques how to deal with the problems you have. That's why.
Why have we not written a book then? Let's get you to write a book and we'll submit it. We can have our own trading book on the mindset with actually the techniques in it. That'd probably be a good thing to do.
Well, certainly the affirmations and the silence of mind will help you to clear your mind and create that positive environment in your head.
Michael, any advice on setting goals for 2018? See, that's a good one. So goals for me from a trading point of view, I set pretty much on New Year's. I'm such a sap on New Year's. I would rather sit down and reflect on how my year has gone and what I'm going to do in 2018 and write all my goals down than go out and party, if I'm honest with you. I'd rather have a really strong reflection zone. What were my bonuses? What are my weaknesses? What should I focus on in the first quarter of 2018? The second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. But that first quarter is so crucial to prioritize. If you prioritize not just a year, but the first quarter, you'll find that you get a lot more achieved. So I would say focus on the first quarter. Do you want to say anything from a mindset point of view on that?
No, certainly. Yeah, sure. Certainly in the first quarter, because it's more realistic. It's a closer time frame for you to have long-term goals if you want, and midterm goals if you need to. But the short-term goals will keep you on track for the long-term goals. So always focus on short-term first.
Cool. Thanks for that question, Michael. Stephen, yeah, I read that. I also read and used the techniques in some of Tony Robbins' books, which highly recommend. I remember that book. That was the one that he done all the interview with all the traders, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reasonable book. David, would you calculate your predicted TP of RSI? David, it's not really a mindset question. You know, I wouldn't predict anything with the RSI if I'm honest with you. To get out, I would use it with something else. You don't want to use it just on its own. You want to use price action, oscillators, time, news, take into account quite a lot. Michael, do you use visualization techniques that work in trading? I don't visualize how my trades are panning out. I visualize where my life's going to be in the next month, where my life's going to be in 2 months, where my life's going to be in 3 months. And I focus every day on what that life would look like. And every day I work towards that life. So I'm very focused on visualizing, and I usually spend my first couple of hours pretty much on the day doing the whole visualization side of things, and really kind of push towards it that way.
You can, before you go, you can use a visualization board. You can actually start to put images up there of how you want to see your trades going, the goals you want to achieve in the first few months of the year, things like that. So you look at it every day. You can even photograph it and put it as a screensaver on your phone. So when the phone rings, you look at it, it's automatically going into your subconscious mind. You can help program the brain that way.
When you feel that you lost it, how do you restart?
Lost it.
Lost what? Lost your marbles?
Lost the plot. Turn the computer off and go for a walk.
Yeah.
Sit, go to bed, sit down, have a couple of beers, meditate, just clear the chatter out of your brain.
Wrap yourself up in bubble wrap, get the hot water bottle on, and get into bed with a TV series of TED Talks. A general book to read is The Secret. That's a good try and change your mindset. I agree. Yeah. Yeah,
it is, but they didn't give you all the answers to it.
I'm currently reading Chimp Paradox. Great book, Lewis. Absolutely like that one. Yeah. Okay, let's unsure if this has already been asked, but what was Sam's limiting beliefs that you feel that it had to be overcome and led to consistent results? Do you know what? When I first started, I was really bad at trading. Really bad.
Losing.
Yeah, losing. Long nights, frustrated, and to the point where I just gave up. And I think I broke my laptop at one point, and then I had to use the other one. And I I ended up like taking it out on the laptop and saying I'm no good at this. I've given up. But then I started trading, but not giving a damn about what happened. I was just doing rather than overthinking, and actually then turned out to start doing well and started building consistency by not caring. And I thought this is so backwards that I've not got to care to actually win. I had a limiting belief at £500,000 when I was trading out of Varangold Bank. I actually couldn't break it, so I kept going 505, 505k, 495, 501 down to 496, and so £500,000 was actually like my mental barrier of what my value was worth. So I used the mindset coach Adrian to help remove that barrier, and then carried on doing better and performing better. So that helped quite a bit. So yeah, it's really interesting about that. Cool. Do you want to carry on with your talk, or what have you got there?
No, that's those are the main points that come up virtually every training session at some level.
Okay. Oh, there's another question. Kevin, do you advise that traders experiment with different timeframes and trading styles to see which suits them best? Not really. It depends what you want to do. It needs to work around your lifestyle. So if you want to trade for 2 hours a day, you want to trade 5-minute timeframes. If you want to trade for 8 hours, 10 hours a day, then you want to trade 5 minutes, 1 hour timeframes. So you get in the midterm and the short term. If you don't have the time to trade in the day and you want to trade only in the evening, end of day, then you need to look at the 1 hourly, 4 hourly, setups, because that's the ones that you're going to catch more of it's all about what can you be consistent with seeing is the most important part. Sam, I recommend a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, guys, for Adrian or myself? Trading aside, what are the main aspects of life the silence the mind technique will benefit?
Oh, okay. So what are the aspects that will help you in life, okay, by doing that technique? Well, it's going to reset what we call the amygdala, part of your fight or flight. You end up chilling out. So you become like a monk, if you will. Nothing bothers you. Nothing concerns you. You become very calm, very relaxed. Blood pressure is reduced. Heart rate is reduced. You become more calm. You're able to power nap. And the reason you're able to power nap is the neocortex, what we call the new brain, the thinking part in the frontal lobes here, take 20% of your body's energy just to think, to make rational executive decisions. So when you silence the mind, you shut that part up. So that energy is free then to energize the whole body. You become more perceptive and insightful. You can think more clearly, more constructively. You're able to problem solve, which is why places like Google and Amazon have these massive rooms where people just go and play and chill out, even go to sleep. It stops them thinking about the job and it reduces the stress. And stress is a big problem these days. And that's where people invent ideas. Go and find a solution to this problem. Go and play Call of Duty for a couple of hours and come back, see what you come up with. But yeah, it's a very powerful technique.
Mine, I've just seen it. It's hilarious. I love the Christmas tree with the Bitcoin. He's got a big B for Bitcoin on the top of his Christmas tree rather than a star. Awesome. Love it. If we can write the questions just on the Q&A rather than the chat, it'd be so much easier to answer as well. Just so you know, in your experience, what 3 things differentiate, I'm assuming that is, winning trades to losing trades? What 3 things differentiate between losing and winning? Your mood. If you come in your crap mood, you're gonna have a crap day trading. You need, like I said, your home life has to be impeccable for your trade life. Because if it's not and you're bringing that to work, then it's going to have a knock-on effect to how you perform in the market. So if you're having a bad day, don't trade. Wrap yourself up in bubble wrap. I would say it's all about, if you're about to pull the trigger on buy or sell and you're not emotionally neutral, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
That was the main turning point for me.
It's also, if you've ever looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they start off with the basics of eating, drinking, and the physiological. Then you go on to emotional relationship issues. You work up to the top. If you have problems down with emotions, with partners, relationships, you have to deal with them. You have to deal with them at home. You can't put them off because the second you see them again, it's just going to trigger it. You're going to get stressed. You become all emotional. And it's like a vicious circle. It goes round and round and round and round. So deal with your issues. Deal with your home life, your issues. Deal with those people who say you can't trade. Just deal with how you feel. You can't change them. Deal with it how you feel.
Cool. Any questions further? If not, I'm pretty happy to wrap up and send out this program to you guys. I'll give it another couple of minutes. We've been 50 minutes. What if your home life? What if your home life is fucked?
Move out.
Yeah, well, you need to change it, don't you? I think people are, you have to try to make it right. At least be emotionally neutral. Some people that home life isn't, what they'll find they'll do is they'll go to the gym in the morning for 35-45 minutes, which pretty much silences your mind whilst you're listening to music or whatnot, and get yourself into the frame of mind. For me, I used to get up in the morning sometimes and go for a swim and then come to work. And I found that sometimes that repetitive movement of swimming, I just didn't think about anything. I was just doing. And by the time I got to work, I was just doing and not thinking. So there's ways around it.
Also, I'd say listen to some of the influential, positive influences in the world, ones you listen to. But actually, just put them in your headphones and just listen to them. Eventually, they'll start taking root, and you start to see things in a different way. So start looking on the positive. Again, change your internal dialogue. You're phoning using that language. You need to change your home life. If you can't change your home life, you have to change what you're thinking, how you react and respond to it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the motivational side for me. Listening, I wake up, I listen to motivational music like Les Brown, Eric Thomas. Literally, the list goes on. Steve Jobs. I like to listen to commencement speeches from like Jim Carrey, Denzel Washington, anyone that's ever been successful. Jim Carrey. All these people have Robert De Niro. They've all got great advice and motivation. And if you wake up and you're not in a good mood, just chuck on your headphones, put on the motivational music. And the motivation of them talking about how to be successful, what you should do, what people don't do, really drives you in your day to stand apart and aside from what I like, well, the sheep in the world, you know, or what Jordan Belfort would call the ducks. Whack, 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 who quack all day long, yeah. So you don't want to be a quacker. Just like to say thank you to you two, learning from you.
From you week in, week out.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Lewis.
Yeah, so thank you guys. No worries, Seema. Thank you. Les Brown, believe in yourself, you're trading in the process. Exactly. Do you recommend setting fixed hours every day to trade? Evelyn, I do try to make sure that I'm consistent with the days that I'm trading. Yeah, you know, I'm always trying to make sure. Grant, great webinar, guys. Thank you, Grant. Lots of people draw similarities between athletes and traders. I know a lot of athletes use mental anchoring to enter an altered state. Do you think this is a useful tool? I guess it's the silence your mind technique, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you can. And you can also use the anchoring process with silence the mind. You can silence in mind. You can put your thumb and forefinger together when you're in your deepest frame of mind and just anchor it. The more you do that, the more you'll automatically anchor that frame of mind when you trade. So yeah, anchoring is good.
I hope you guys are really enjoying our webinars that we're giving. We're trying to be as, you know, educational as possible, you know, and really help you guys on your trading journeys. We've had some absolutely awesome feedback from, you know, some of the traders and the attendees. Thanks.
Hurry up, say after 12 months. That one.
Webinars are great. You're the only pros who offer this stuff, and it's for free. Thanks, Adrian, Sam.
You're welcome.
No worries, Harry. Thanks, guys. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You too.
And to you.
Thanks to all of you. So make sure you all subscribe. Awesome, guys. Take care. That's a bye from all of us at Samuel Co Trading.
Thanks. See you again soon.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Cheers.
Take care.
Happy New Year.
You'll feel away. You'll feel away about me. You'll feel away. You'll feel away about me. You'll feel away. You'll feel away about me. You'll feel away. You'll feel away about me.